The snow hadn't yet fallen, but the wind had turned cruel, sharp with the bite of winter, whistling through the cracked beams of Calico Junction's main street. Dust clung to the corners like something trying to hide. Folks stood gathered outside Hart's General, boot heels grinding in dirt, spitting tobacco and suspicion. That's when the wagon came, creaking, too light for freight, too heavy for mercy. A whip cracked. A child coughed. And Etta didn't look up. She stepped down slow, holding the baby close. The boy was wrapped in a green army coat patched at the elbows, far too big. Her own shoes were torn, soles flapping. Her wrists bore raw rings of rope burn, though they were no longer tied. Her head was held high, but her eyes kept to the ground. Dignity is a strange thing. It can cling like perfume or rot like meat, and in Etta's case, it did both. Behind her, Rig Tolliver cleared his throat and bellowed. Got ourselves a worker. Strong. Silent. Knows how to clean, cook, sew, and if you ask nice, keep your bed warm. The crowd laughed. Someone muttered, "She's got a baby, for God's sake." Bundle deal, Tolliver added with a wink. 2 mouths, 1 back. The baby let out another wet, choking sound. It wasn't loud, but in the hush that followed, it might as well have been a thunderclap. That's when Bo Carver looked up. He'd come to town for nails and salt, not souls. His coat was wool, patched to the cuffs, dusted white with early frost. His eyes were shadowed, the kind that had seen war and found no poetry in it. Folks knew him, widower, quiet type, land going bad, barn half collapsed. Not a man you'd think had room for a woman, let alone a woman like her. But he didn't look away. Etta felt it first, like heat through cold fabric. Her back stiffened. Her grip on the baby tightened. "Starting at $15, said Tolliver. "Or best offer. Hell, I'll take feed, bullets, even boots." No one spoke. A man near the front spat. "Ain't legal sellin', folks." "She signed the paper," Tolliver shot back. "Ain't my doing if desperation smells like slavery." Bo stepped forward, quiet as smoke. "How much for both?" His voice was hoarse from silence, not fear. Rig blinked. "For the woman and the child too." "Full pair?" "Let's say 28. Someone snorted. "You ain't got 28 cents, Carver." Bo pulled a coin pouch from his inner coat, untied it, dropped it in Tolliver's hand. Silver clinked. Silence followed. "You sure?" Tolliver asked, genuinely puzzled now. "She's not broken in. Could be trouble." "I'll take him," Bo said again. "Now." Etta finally raised her head. Their eyes met, his, storm-colored and calm, hers, dark as molasses and twice as thick with everything unsaid. She looked for pity and didn't find it. She looked for hunger and didn't find that either. What she found was something closer to confusion. She couldn't decide if it made her safer or not. Tolliver gave a shrug. "Fine. She's yours. Papers in the ledger. No returns." Bo reached for the baby first. Slowly, gently. The boy wheezed in his arms, and Bo adjusted him like he'd held an infant once. Long ago, long enough to remember how it's done, and not so long he forgot why it mattered. Etta didn't move. "You bought me. What now?" "You come in from the cold," he said, and turned toward his wagon. She followed, not because she believed in him, but because the wind had gotten crueler, and the baby had begun to cry again. The ride back to the ranch was long, mostly quiet. The wagon groaned beneath them, every bump in the road stirring the baby to whimper. Etta hushed him under her breath, humming a tune without words, one her mother used to hum when the world was simpler. Bo didn't speak. He glanced at her once, when she wrapped the boy tighter in that army coat, when she wiped blood from her cracked lip using the edge of her skirt. "You from Texas?" he asked finally. "No," she replied. "You got family?" "No." "You give him a name?" She stared at the child for a long while. Then, "Josiah. Good name." Etta didn't answer. The wagon creaked on. Bo's land wasn't much. A long stretch of dry earth, stubborn grass, 2 cows and 1 barn with a door that hung sideways. But the house was warm. That mattered. He opened the door and let her step through first. Inside smelled of cedar, dust, and coffee gone stale. A rifle hung above the hearth. The table had 3 chairs, only 2 unbroken. A black kettle simmered faintly over coals. Etta looked around like she expected someone to jump out. Bo noticed and said, "It's just me." He took Josiah from her arms. The baby coughed again. "I'll heat milk," Bo said, moving toward the stove. She didn't sit. "Why'd you do it?" "Didn't want to leave a child in the cold." "You could have just bought him." Bo didn't look up. "He don't come without you." Etta crossed her arms. Her back still straight. "You buying me for labor or for?" "You'll sleep in the spare room." "Then what am I to you?" Bo turned, the kettle hissing behind him. "I don't know yet," he said. "But I figured I'd rather find out than watch you freeze." She didn't cry. But something cracked deep inside her, something that had held for years. She looked away, took off her shoes. Her feet were bleeding. He handed her warm milk in a chipped cup. Josiah reached out instinctively, small fingers gripping Bo's thumb like it was the only solid thing in the world. Bo didn't pull away. That night, Etta lay on a cot with 2 quilts wrapped around her, the baby beside her in a makeshift cradle Bo had dragged down from the attic. Outside, wind scratched against the windows like a stray dog looking for shelter. Inside, the fire dimmed. The kettle whispered its steam. Her body ached, but not from fear. Not from shame either. Just from surviving. Bo sat in the kitchen, coat still on, staring at nothing. He wasn't a man who expected thanks. She wasn't a woman who gave it easy. But something had shifted. Not like doors slamming open. More like a hinge, slowly giving way to movement. She didn't know what the morning would bring. But for the first time in years, she didn't dread waking to it. And in the silence of the house, broken only by the coals and a child's breath, she whispered to no one. "Don't break this. Not him. Not her. Not the storm outside. Just don't break this." The sky that morning was pale as old bone, stretched thin across a sun that didn't warm much. The earth held the weight of frost without the beauty of snow. Winter here didn't come in storms. It came in slow silences, in the kind of cold that took your breath and your memories with it. Etta stepped onto the porch barefoot, a wool blanket over her shoulders. The floorboards groaned like something remembering pain. She watched her breath mist in the air as Josiah stirred in the sling across her chest, sucking his thumb in half-sleep. Inside the house, the kettle whistled low, and the man who'd bought her stirred the ashes of a stubborn fire. She didn't trust quiet men. They always wanted something you couldn't name. But Bo Carver hadn't asked her for anything. Not yet. She hadn't decided if that made him better or worse. He stepped outside behind her without a word, holding 2 mugs. She took one, mostly for warmth, and sipped it like it might be poisoned. It wasn't. It tasted like scorched chicory and metal. "You should wear shoes," he said. She shrugged. "I know. You'll catch." Caught worse. He nodded once, like he understood. Maybe he did. Maybe they were both just breathing ghosts, pretending they still had lungs full of hope. Josiah whimpered. She shifted the sling. "He'll need cow's milk soon. He's weaning fast." "I'll ask Jed for a nanny goat," Bo said. She turned to him. "Why are you being kind to me?" His eyes didn't flinch. "I don't think I am." That startled her more than any answer he could have given. Later, when he left to fetch firewood, she searched the house, not for weapons or escape, but for clues. Men always left pieces of themselves behind. She found a drawer with old letters, unsent. A hairbrush with blonde strands. A baby blanket still folded in a cedar box. That night she asked, "What happened to your wife?" Bo didn't look up from the stove. "Lost her in childbirth. A girl. Didn't make it either. I'm sorry. I didn't tell you for sympathy. I didn't offer any." Their silence was not awkward. It was honest. Days passed like snow that never touched ground, suspended, gray, uncertain. Etta worked the way the earth does when it's been beaten, quietly and thoroughly. She mended his shirts, patched the roof, scrubbed floors on her knees. She didn't ask for thanks and didn't offer explanations. Bo gave her space, and she gave him structure. Josiah began to cough less. He even laughed once, a wheezy sound that made both adults freeze like they'd heard something too precious for this world. It was Hattie Bell, the half-blind healer, who brought trouble first. She came clomping up the muddy trail one morning in boots older than the town, wrapped in a shawl that smelled of pine pitch and old tobacco. Bo greeted her like kin. Etta kept back, wary. "Well now," Hattie said, peering with milky eyes. "Ain't you the one from Kansas?" Etta stiffened. Her spine straightened like a blade. "Thought so. You got that silence in you. That stitched-up kind." Hattie touched Josiah's cheek with trembling fingers. "Half white, this one. Got the soul of two countries and the home of none. Poor child." Bo watched Etta for a reaction. She gave him none. Hattie sat, muttered about poultices and weather. Then, too casually, "You two married yet?" Bo said. "Ain't none of the town's business." "It'll be the sheriff's business soon enough," Hattie said. "Folk don't like it when a man hides a woman like a secret." "She's not hidden. She's not yours either. Not by paper." Etta spoke for the first time. "And not by permission." Hattie chuckled. "Then whose name does the child carry?" Etta's lips parted. No sound came. Bo noticed. He said, "Don't matter. He's here now." The healer left before sunset. The air felt colder after her departure, as though she'd peeled back a layer of safety. That night, Bo lit a candle and opened his ledger book. He began writing. Etta sat across the table, holding Josiah tight. "You giving him your name?" she asked. He paused. "Would you rather I didn't?" "I didn't say that." He looked at her carefully. "What name did his father give him?" She stared at the flame. "None." "You never told him?" "He didn't ask." "You want to tell me?" She shook her head. "No." The candle danced between them like a witness. Bo didn't push. He closed the book, slowly. In the dark, she whispered. His father was a man who liked control more than kindness. Said love was weakness. Said hunger made people useful. "You loved him." "No. But I feared him." "That's worse." Bo nodded like a man who knew what it was to be trapped inside another's choices. Later, as she rocked the baby to sleep, she whispered, "I never said the father's name because I don't want it to grow roots here. I want it to die with the wind." Bo from the doorway said, "Then it will." 3 days passed before the sheriff came riding. Dane Voss was lean as a starving dog, with eyes that missed nothing and kindness that cost too much. He dismounted with grace, but his boots hit the porch like a warning. Bo met him outside. Etta watched from behind the curtains. "Got a report," Voss said. "Woman sold herself at auction. Paper signed. Town don't like that kind of trade." "I didn't trade," Bo said. "I made an offer. She took it. Same difference in court." Bo said nothing. Voss's eyes narrowed. "You call her wife?" "I call her safe. That ain't a title. I'll give her one if it comes to that." Voss took off his hat, scratched his head. "Folks say you're digging your own grave, Carver. But I've seen worse things than kindness." He paused. "You sure she ain't running from something?" "She's running toward something," Bo answered. The sheriff stared at him long, then mounted and rode off without a word. That night, Etta stood on the porch again. Bo joined her, hands in pockets, gaze on stars. "Town's going to ask," he said. "I don't care. They'll want a name. For you. For the boy." She turned to him. "Then tell them this. My name is Etta Mayfield. And the boy is Josiah." He looked at her. Mayfield. That your name? It's the one I chose when I stopped bleeding for others. He didn't smile, but something in his face softened. They stood in silence until Josiah cried inside. She turned to go. He stopped her with a hand on her arm. You don't have to be scared here. She didn't say, I'm not, because she was. But she didn't pull away. The next morning, she found a goat tied to the porch post. A note hung from its collar, milk's free. Safety ain't. Take care of each other. No signature. Bo didn't comment. Neither did she. But when she poured the milk that night, her hands shook less. And for the first time, Josiah drank without coughing. His eyes stayed open. His fingers gripped her thumb. She looked at him, then at the man who built this strange, quiet place for broken things. Maybe, she whispered, we've all earned one more name. Neither of them spoke it yet. But in the hush of that old wooden house, it began to form, unspoken but waiting to be claimed. Snow came sudden that week. Gray skies cracked open, spilling white across Bo Carver's land like God had tried to cover something shameful. The wind turned vicious. The goats shivered. The house groaned like it remembered every grief its walls had ever held. Etta stood by the hearth, arms wrapped tight around Josiah. The boy had taken his first real steps 2 days before, half a stumble, half miracle, and now he was angry to be confined. But the cold was no place for children. Not now. Not with what she'd seen. She hadn't told Bo yet. About the figure near the fence. About the boot prints leading from the tree line. About the slice she found in the corner of Josiah's blanket. Small but precise, like a warning. She didn't want to seem mad. Or worse, afraid. But fear, it seemed, had returned to her like an old creditor, knocking gentle for now but never leaving. Bo entered through the back door with arms full of wood and frost on his beard. He noticed her stiff shoulders. You all right? Etta hesitated. You ever had someone look at you like they wanted to unmake you? Bo blinked, then nodded once. During the war. Before that too. She pressed her lips together. I think someone's watching the house. He set the wood down, carefully. You see them. Shadow, maybe. Nothing clear. But Josiah's blanket was cut. Bo moved faster than she'd ever seen him. He crossed the room, lifted the child, examined the fabric. His mouth became a hard line. He didn't ask for proof. Didn't suggest she was wrong. He just said, I'll handle it. That night he oiled his rifle. Then he stayed awake in the rocking chair beside the door, watching the frost creep across the windows like veins in old glass. The next morning, tracks circled the barn. Etta found them first. Deep, heavy. Boots too large for anyone local. And near the goat pen, a broken piece of leather strap. Too clean to be accidental. Bo came up behind her, saw what she saw. We've got company, he said. They spent the day preparing without speaking much. Bo cleaned the revolver he hadn't touched in months. Etta moved Josiah's cradle into the pantry, hidden behind burlap and dried beans. At dusk, they heard hooves. One rider. Slow. Bo stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand but lowered. Etta stood in the doorway, one arm holding the curtain back, the other around her child. The rider dismounted. Tall man. Long coat. Scars under the brim of his hat. He walked like someone who'd been broken once and glued back together wrong. His voice, when it came, was too smooth. Well, hell. Bo Carver. Thought you fell off the edge of the world. Bo didn't smile. Clem. Etta's breath caught. That name. Clem Yarrow took a long look at the house, the barn, then Etta. His eyes lingered. Hungry. Ugly. Didn't know you were keeping livestock now. Bo didn't move. She's my wife. Clem laughed. Sure she is. You always did like fixing broken things. Bo's voice stayed steady. What do you want? Got run off from down south. Thought maybe I'd work a winter up here. Saw your smoke. Figured you might need help. Bo leveled the rifle, not aiming yet, just enough. "You're not welcome." Clem didn't blink. Still got that temper. Etta stepped outside, Josiah still clutched close. "You knew him?" Bo nodded. "We served together. For a while." Clem smiled, slow. "Longer than a while, sugar. Your man here saved my life once. Said everybody deserves a second chance." Etta stared. "And you're here for yours?" "I'm here to remind him some debts don't end in peacetime." Bo's voice turned sharp. "You need to ride out." Clem tipped his hat, all mockery. "I'll give it thought." He turned and left like he owned the land. Dust rose behind him, then settled just as fast. That night, Bo set bear traps around the barn. Hid one under the floorboards near the front porch. Etta asked, "He knew me." Bo said nothing. "You brought him into my life again." Bo sat at the table, head in his hands. "I didn't know. I swear. I never told you who Josiah's father was." He looked up. "You don't have to. He's not by blood. But Clem was the one who." Bo reached across the table, took her hand. "Say no more." She didn't. But she sat with him until the fire died, both of them quiet, listening to the night settle like dust after a stampede. 3 days passed. No sign of Clem. Then the blood came. It started with a scream from the goat pen. Etta rushed out and found one nanny goat gutted, belly ripped open, inside steaming in the snow. A knife was buried in the post. Stuck deep. Clean steel. Bo pulled it free, turned it over. The handle bore a small engraving. "I." Josiah cried in the house. Etta turned to go. That night, the trap stayed open. Clem didn't come back. Not then. But someone did. At midnight, the back window shattered. Bo rose with rifle ready. Etta pulled Josiah close and shoved herself behind the pantry door. 2 men, masked, fast, rushed in. One lunged for the fireplace. Bo fired. 1 down. The second knocked the gun aside and tackled him. Etta didn't think. She grabbed the skillet from the stove and swung. Metal met bone. The man collapsed. Bo rolled him over. Clem. Not dead, but bleeding bad. Outside, the wind howled. A blizzard rising. Bo knelt. He came for the boy. Etta's breath caught. "We end this now." They dragged Clem to the barn, tied him against the stall with the blood still damp around the floor. He came to slowly, smirking. "Knew you had fight, girl. Should have let me keep you." Raised the boy proper. Bo raised the rifle. Etta stopped him. "No." Clem laughed. "Look at that. She speaks." Etta leaned close. "You don't get the satisfaction of dying a villain. You'll live with the fact that we're still standing." Bo hesitated, then struck Clem hard across the temple. The man slumped, unconscious. Bo spoke, quiet. "We leave him for the sheriff. Let the law see who he really is." In the morning, the law came. Voss took one look and said, "He'll hang." Bo didn't answer. Just stared at Etta, then at the blood frozen in the barn straw. She nodded. "It's done." That night, they burned the blanket Josiah had once been swaddled in. The one Clem had marked. They stood side by side as it turned to ash. Etta whispered, "We bury nothing that can haunt us." Bo replied, "Then we build something that can't be taken." And inside the house, their child slept through the wind, untouched. But neither of them would forget the snow, nor the knife, nor what it meant to be chosen over fear. The storm rolled in without thunder. Just a great wall of wind and white swallowing the horizon like something ancient had risen from the land to remind everyone who truly ruled out here. Trees bent like they were praying. Roofs groaned. Nails pulled loose. The old house creaked from its bones. Bo barred the door with 2 planks. The stove was hot, but the cold still bled through the chinks in the wood like a promise. Etta rocked Josiah by the fire, wrapped in Bo's old cavalry coat. The boy was bigger now, stronger in the legs, smarter in the eyes. He didn't cry during the howling anymore. Just listened, as if remembering something he'd never lived. "He's calm," Bo said, watching them from the table. "He knows we're safe," Etta replied, then corrected herself softly. "For now." Bo rubbed his palms together, then poured coffee. His hands still bore the fresh scars from that night in the barn. Clem's final visit, the blood that changed everything. Voss had taken him away in chains, his jaw broken and pride splintered. But he hadn't gone quiet. A letter came that morning, delivered by the sheriff himself through the storm. It sat on the table still unopened, its wax seal smeared. "You should read it," Etta said. Bo shook his head. "Nothing good ever comes sealed in red." Outside, something cracked, a tree maybe, or the sky itself. Josiah flinched. Etta stood. "He needs sleep. I can take him." "You sure?" Bo nodded. She passed the boy over, slowly. His tiny fingers clung to her braid for a moment longer than usual. Bo cradled the child in the crook of his arm, pacing the hallway with quiet steps. His boots creaked once with each pass, like a lullaby carved from habit. He passed the door where his late wife's portrait once hung. Now the wall was bare. The past, he'd learned, had weight. But it didn't have to be furniture. When Josiah drifted off, Bo laid him in the cradle beside the fire and returned to the letter. The wax snapped. Inside was a single page in spidery, angry ink. "That child ain't yours. And one day, he'll look like me. What will you do then?" No name. No threat. Just that question. Etta read it over his shoulder. Her face didn't change, but her breath shortened. "He won't," she said. "He's not Clem. He never was." Bo looked at her, long and deep. "But he's still part of it." She nodded. "And so are we." They burned the letter in the stove. No words left behind. Later, Bo pulled out the cradle he'd once built for his daughter, the one who never drew breath. He stared at it a while, then turned to Etta. "I buried her out behind the barn," he said. "Beneath the cottonwood." Etta's throat caught. "You never told me." "I didn't know if I could." She reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. "We should go there," she said. "Tell her." The storm eased enough by morning to allow it. They wrapped in layers and crossed the white field in silence. Josiah rode on Bo's back, bundled and blinking. The grave sat beneath the only tree that hadn't died on the land. A smooth stone, no name. Just a cross, carved crooked and deep. Bo knelt. Her name was Lillian. The baby's, not the wife. We never named her. Etta's breath hung in the air like smoke. "Say it now." "Rebecca," he whispered. Her name was Rebecca. They stood in stillness, wind tugging their coats. Etta stepped forward, laid down a fresh sprig of pine. "Lillian. Rebecca. This is Josiah. And I'm Etta Mayfield. We're not here to replace. Just to remember," Bo added, "and to carry forward." Josiah reached for the stone. His mittened fingers brushed the frost from the carving. They walked back without speaking, but their steps fell in rhythm. That evening, Etta pulled something from her old bundle, a book, ragged and wrapped in cloth. Inside were pages of pressed flowers, a sketch of her mother's face, and a folded birth certificate. She handed it to Bo. "Read it." He opened it carefully. Josiah Mayfield. Mother, Etta Mayfield. Father, not listed. You gave him your name. She nodded. "Only one I trusted." Bo's voice was quiet. "He can have mine too." Etta looked up. "Are you sure?" He walked to the shelf, pulled out the family Bible. Dust flew. He opened it to the first empty page and wrote slowly, deliberately. "Josiah Mayfield Carver." He paused. Then he wrote again. "Etta Mayfield Carver." She touched the page. "You didn't ask." "I didn't have to." That night, as the wind screamed one last time across the chimney and the frost climbed the windows, Bo took her hand and led her outside. Snow covered everything. The barn, the fences, the place where the goats once bled, now clean as rebirth. Under the cottonwood, he had dug a second grave. Not for a body. For what had been lost. A small cross. Blank. Waiting. "I thought you might want to name what we've survived," he said. Etta stared at it. Then took the old knife she once used to peel roots and carved a single word. Before. Bo wrapped his arms around her from behind. "And now, she whispered, "we begin." Inside, Josiah slept with his hand tucked under his chin, the fire casting gold across his brow. Outside, the storm finally broke. And the wind carried a name the land had not heard before. Chosen, not given. Family. Not by blood, but by choice. Which city are you watching our video from? Please leave a comment. Please subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you.